when things quickly escalated. Turner screaming at the officer, asking why, telling him that she's pregnant.
I'm pregnant!
She just fell to the ground, started crying. It was just so tragic. It happened so fast. It was just like crazy.
There are two Americas. He lives in one, and I live in another.
You're watching the most shocking and informative LRJTV News.
Hello, I'm LRJ from LRJTV News. Well, here's another video that YouTube refused to monetize, but guess what? A lot of you guys watch these news coverage of police shootings, and you're like, well, tell me the whole story. Well, that's why you come to LRJ. I'm going to give you guys a whole recap of what's going on, and then after that, I'm going to come back and give you my commentary, so get your popcorn, because we're about to watch the show. Let's not waste no more time. You know what I'm going to say. Let's go.
Baytown Police say the officer was attempting to arrest her for outstanding warrants just before 11 last night. They say he was familiar with Turner. Neighbors say the officer lives in the same complex and Turner was often outside walking her dog. Police say the officer is Hispanic. Turner is black. They say he was patrolling the complex when he encountered Turner and a struggle ensued. Turner tased him in the groin. You hear her shout, "I'm pregnant," just before the officer fires 5 shots, hitting Turner at least once. She died at the scene. Autopsy results have not been released, but police say she was not pregnant.
He was standing over her right here when she tried to get up. Bam, 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 just like that. She right here.
I saw blood coming from her face and I smelled gunpowder. All I saw was the officer doing CPR on the lady. She was down on the floor already.
Court documents show Turner was facing assault and criminal mischief charges, allegedly lashing out at her property manager after receiving an eviction notice and breaking the windshield of someone else's car. Police say early indications are the officer was within his rights.
If somebody's tasing you with it takes your taser away from you and starts tasing you, there's a very good likelihood that it's going to escalate and get very, very bad for the officer. It's unfortunate, but you know, it looks like it's necessary.
Neighbors tell us that the woman lived in this apartment complex. Police are in the process of notifying her family, and we are told that this officer has dealt with this woman before.
They had a couple of words, things went a whole different way, and he shot her, and I really feel sorry for the family, and I hope they get some type of justice.
The police department says she had several outstanding warrants, and that's why the officer was attempting to arrest her that night. In a text message Tuesday, Lieutenant Steve Doris said Turner was not pregnant. He's asking the person who took the video to come forward and help.
He says she resisted arrest and grabbed the officer's taser, then used it against him. Well, tonight that officer is on administrative leave.
A makeshift memorial at the site where Pamela Turner died. Turner's daughter and residents of this Baytown apartment complex promising to keep her memory alive. The rapper Trey the Truth says he'll do the same.
My main thing is I don't want this to be a situation where it gets swept under the rug.
At a small rally nearby, community activists calling the deadly confrontation between 44-year-old Turner and the unidentified Baytown police officer unjustified. The shooting was captured on cell phone video that went viral on social media.
She posed no threat to him. He posed a threat to her.
Turner's family says she suffered from paranoid schizophrenia and that it was widely known in the community, including Baytown police, who had previous encounters with her. A lawyer working with the family says the officer violated protocols.
Someone that you know to be suffering from a mental health condition, you don't encounter them alone. In fact, you call a special team, an officer who's trained to deal with individuals who are suffering from a mental health condition.
Baytown police say the officer was patrolling the complex and tried to arrest Turner because he knew she had outstanding warrants. Police say the officer is an 11-year veteran who opened fire after Turner grabbed his taser and used it against him.
He made a decision to take 2 or 3 steps back and execute her.
Many of them gathered and adding to her growing memorial in the very place where she was shot. I spoke to the Baytown Police Department about the shooting that was caught on camera and has many people outraged.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, as we come to the best we know how.
They gathered in prayer, leaving behind flowers and candles for Pamela Turner, a 44-year-old mother of 2 and grandmother, a former nurse who, according to her family, was suffering from a mental illness.
Sweetest woman I ever known. And according to everybody else,
sweetest person they ever known.
From Black Lives Matter Houston protested out in front of the Baytown Police Department, wanting questions answered since the police issued a statement saying Turner was known to them.
If she had, in fact, been dealing with mental illness or mental disability, he would have had a backup officer with him, preferably a female, and he would have had someone there who was equipped to handle someone dealing with mental illnesses. That didn't happen. So if there was a mental illness happening and if Baytown PD said what they said, things are not adding up here.
Victim was a staple in the neighborhood, and now they want answers.
Everybody, you've seen the clips. I know you're pissed. Make it make sense. The officer known this woman on several occasions. Clearly she wasn't pregnant. She was 45 years old, so, you know, unless she's Sarah. But the point of the matter is this, okay? We all love people in our community, as we've seen in this video. Whether she was perfect or not, people in the community love her.
Don't smoke your crack, please.
For your information, I'm trying to quit. See? I'm wearing a crack patch.
That is a Band-Aid, Mr. Crack.
That would explain the less than satisfactory results.
Go on, get out of here.
Wait! You want to buy a watch?
Why the devil would I want to buy a watch from you?
It's yours.
The officer lived in the apartment complex. He patrolled that complex. He knew exactly who she was. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew she had a mental illness. He just wanted to go on vacation because the summertime is here. And so he wanted to murder and kill her, and that's what he did. Oh, that officer would get away with it? Why would he get away with it, LRJ? Let's not waste no more time. Let me show you why he will get away with it. We'll roll that beautiful cotton ball. Let's go.
Somebody's tasing you with it takes your taser away from you and starts tasing you, there's a very good likelihood that it's going to escalate and get very, very bad for the officer from there. So, again, these are things that kind of force the officers to take action for their own safety. So it's unfortunate, but, you know, it looks like it's necessary. Officers taser away from me and actually tased the officer, which forced the officer to draw his duty weapon and fire multiple rounds at the suspect.
Tell you is with any police officer, you're trained to stop the threat. So not getting so fixated on the number of rounds that are fired. More importantly, it's tragic for the family of the deceased. They lost a loved one. And that fact is not lost on us. We understand that and we get that.
While Chief Daugherty has full faith and confidence in his investigators, he also has heard and understands the public demands for transparency. He wants the family of Ms. Turner and the community to have the same faith and confidence in their police department and the officers who work hard every day to keep our community safe. As such, Chief Daugherty has asked the Texas Department of Public Safety's Texas Ranger Division to conduct an investigation moving forward. The evidence and information that has been collected up to this point has been turned over to the Rangers for their review. The Baytown Police Department Internal Affairs Division will continue with their internal review of the incident.
Baytown Mayor Brandon Capetillo understands it's a difficult time for the community.
We ask any individuals that have a public opinion about this, if they choose to gather and make their opinions vocal in public, that they do so in a respectful and peaceful manner. And the best advice I can give them is to let peace be their sword.
So Baytown Police and Harris County District Attorney's Office are investigating whether or not any department policies were not followed. But the Texas Rangers are investigating now the shooting itself. The officer, as we know, has not been identified yet, and there is no timeline on these investigations.
Oh, look at LRJ. He's bringing up racism, right? I want you guys to watch this next clip. I want you guys to look at the faces of both Caucasian men smiling and smirking as black folks are trying to express to them the frustration and the hurt that we're suffering in our community. They don't care. They do not care.
Community activist Derek Muhammad, activist and community activist Tex Christopher, Houston City Council member and former HPD officer Mike Knox, attorney Sadia messing up your name, and I've known you for years, Evangelista, and Baton Rouge activist, author Silky Slim Reed. We want to welcome you all to The Factor Uncensored. Glad to have you on the show. This is very, very disturbing, Sadia. When you saw this video, and you, like I did, saw the unedited video with the gunfire, your thoughts on this situation?
You know, it was gut-wrenching, it was hard to watch, but we've been seeing so many of these type of videos recently, lately, and I don't know if it's just a systematic attempt on just the image of a black woman being brutalized. You know, we're seeing a lot of assaults on social media of black women being brutalized. But this, nonetheless, is very gut-wrenching, and it affects all of us. It affects all of us.
Tex Christopher, you are from a Gold Star family, meaning your uncle was shot and killed as a police officer several years ago. When you see this video, what do you see from your perspective?
I see disobedience. I see someone not submitting unto the authority of the badge. And that's the problem that we have here. And when you have her kicking and tasing him, and it's his life that is in danger. And bottom line is this, her rights end where his rights begin. And his job is to sit there and enforce the law, and that's why we have the law. So you're either on the right side of the law or you're on the wrong side of the law, but the choice is up to you. And at the end of the day, she made her choice.
Arthur, you drove here from Baton Rouge when you saw this video on social media. You're an activist there. You had to get involved. When you saw this, your thoughts on this situation?
When you see this type of action, then I tell many people that we cannot overlook that the Ku Klux Klan is in fully effect with this. And people always say comply or die, but you don't see them killing white people like this. So there was a video that came out right after this video of a white guy fighting a police officer hand-to-hand combat, and he didn't feel for his life with that. So when you see that, then you have to realize that this is a serious attack on black people. This is a modern day lynching, and this is a organization. When he says that his rights started when hers stopped, what you see happening, and you talk about the justice system, that's what we're realizing today. The criminal justice system is exactly that, a justice system that's being ran by a bunch of damn criminals.
Let's bring in Councilmember Mike Knox, former HPD. Is there a double standard when it comes to blacks and whites dealing with police officers from your perspective?
I really don't think so. I think there's a difference of opinion or difference of perspective, really. I think in this particular case, I'm not investigating this case. I don't know anything about it.
There are two Americas. He lives in one, and I live in another. In the America that I live in, Pam Turner was the victim and not the perpetrator. What they're trying to do is turn the victim into the perpetrator by muddying up her name and putting her mugshot on across the television screen.
And this really quick, just to let you know, we've made the conscious decision to get rid of that mugshot.
And I really appreciate that, because this is the same old playbook that law enforcement uses every time. He claims that he fears for his life. They suspend him they let him go a few days without pay. He'll be in Cancun next week, and then they muddy up the victim to try to make the victim look like the perpetrator. We're talking about a woman who was she had a history of mental illness. Police departments are supposed to have responders who come and deal with people like this. This cop knew who he was dealing with, and he understood her condition. He had no business approaching her the way he approached her. He should have called the proper personnel to come and deal with a person who has a mental illness, and I feel like he had murder in his heart for her from the jump. So what we have to find out is, if they had previous encounters, what did those previous encounters entail? Because real talk, had he shot a dog 5 times like that, there would be a worldwide outcry from his America. But he did not shoot a dog. He shot a beautiful black woman who was a human being. And in our America, black America, brown America, the America that demands justice for the least, the last, and the lost, we're going to get justice for that sister.
Sadia, let's bring you into this conversation. If they had past dealings and he knew about her mental state and mental health issues, what should happen in this case?
The full weight of the law needs to be on top of him. He needs to be charged with murder. It was premeditated. He knew this woman. He knew what he was going to do. You know, he alleges that she turned around, or she tried to stop him and use his own taser on him. What kind of officer would allow someone, a woman at that, use the taser? No, he knew this woman had past dealings, had some animosity towards her. regardless of what her mental condition was, that was just overkill. One bullet, subdue it, make her into compliance, but what his intention was to kill on the spot.
Let's bring Tex in really quick. Go ahead, Derek, because we're
bottom line is this. It doesn't matter what any of us say. It only matters what the law says. The law is the one thing
and that was against the law.
And
that what he did was against the law. That was murder. That was not justifiable homicide.
Well, the problem is that those who claim to enforce the law believe that they are above the law. You want to talk about laws? Pam Turner had just as many rights as that police officer, whether you believe it or not.
So she said,
hell no, her rights don't end.
His authority.
No, his rights don't begin where hers end because hers do not end. Not only did she have civil rights, she had rights as a disabled person with mental challenges.
Okay.
Let me just calm everybody down a little bit here. What we're doing is we're getting in the minds of the officer and the woman, and we don't really have any basis for that.
We have a video. We have
got
proof.
a video,
we
but
see exactly what happened.
We're speaking to the intent of the officer, which we cannot have any knowledge of.
We're speaking to the facts that we saw on a live video.
Well,
that's what we're speaking to. You can't spend this. You can't spend
20 seconds.
Something that
20 seconds. There'll be 6 investigations on this
with
officer.
5 shots. There were 5 shots that killed that woman. 5 shots. And that's what we do.
Would you have shot her 5 times when you were a police officer?
I'm not there.
Would you have shot her 5 times?
If I felt like it was necessary, I would have.
Well, people, it's time for me to go. Oh yeah, rate, comment, and subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit the bell so you can get the alerts because YouTube is really trying to shuffle me down to the bottom. I love you all. Peace.